Hi everybody, Bill Huddleston along with the coach of the Ruffers, Rafe Watkins. Time for another chapter of Rougher football here on TV 15. And oh, what a feeling, Coach, it is to be 2-0 for the first time since 2007.
It is a good feeling. You know, it's good for the kids, it's good for the coaching staff, and even more so for us, it's good for the community. You know, it's good for our school. Just seems to be a little bit of more spring into everybody's step, and it is. I'm proud for everybody involved. It's been a long time coming, and we're certainly happy to be there.
Well, no doubt there's been a lot of talk within the Muskogee community about this year's football team, and you could see that last Friday night when the stands were packed on the home side. It was reunion night. It was a little rougher night, but 51 points on the scoreboard will put a lot of cheeks in the seats.
Well, it will, and you know, as good as offensively as we played, I was really more proud of our defense.
Absolutely.
Even because should have been a shutout. The 2 turnovers gave them their points. We have 3 interception pick 6 called back. We got a new little drill we're going to work on today. That's what, you know, when you're a young kid, you always heard of stop, drop, and roll when there was a fire. We're going to do stop, drop, and make a turf angel. You know, we're going to be out there making so that we don't take a chance of getting a clip called on us from somebody flopping in front of us or doing something silly. So, you know, you put 21 more points up there, and it's a really good-looking win.
It really was. We've got a lot of highlights to show you here in our show today, and that's always a good thing, Coach, when the highlight reel is long, because that tells you things are going good.
Well, yeah, it's a whole lot better than sitting up here trying to describe 4 plays like we have had to do sometimes.
Yes.
It's making a lot out of nothing, but it is. The kids, they it was out Friday, and I was able to get over there with them that morning. We went out and ate breakfast and had to go back, and we discussed a few things and just talked about what it takes to be a champion. It's not easy, and we're far from being there, but we're getting better each and every day, and I'm really proud of them.
Well, let's roll our video highlight package and take a look at some of the plays, Coach, and we're going to start with something on defense right here out of the get-go.
You know, the very first play, they love to run counter, the back setback. There it is, and stuff it. And really all night long, didn't think that they were going to have a chance to run us. We thought we'd shut their running game down. That's very predictable on what to do. Here's our first play from scrimmage that we'd practiced. Can't get much more open than that. The only thing you're doing there is holding your breath, hoping that nobody drops anything or overthrows
78 yards.
It was pretty much gone from the get-go. But we knew that they was going to get a few passes on us. They got too good a quarterback, too good a receivers. But I thought our secondary was just outstanding. Here's, you know, poor old Trayvon. I think he had 2 called back last year.
He did.
Here's another one that's called back. Here a little bit later, Darius gets one called back. He had the one called back last year against Sand Springs. So, as I said, it sounds silly, but we are going to do a drill to just stop from that when it's so wide open. Here's Mo running hard. We thought Mo by far had his best game. And I know he had more yards last year against Sapulpa and some others, but just as far as pure running and straight ahead running, I was really proud of the way he ran the other night. And our line's getting better about blocking.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see those creases, and then you see that second and third surge by his part, and also credit the downfield blocking of the receivers.
And here's another thing, you know, we're pursuing the ball extremely well. Bruiser misses the tackle, but then they string it out, and everybody's filling their lanes and getting through. A little bit later, and I don't know if it'll be one of the highlights or not, but it was a highlight in the game to me. They're running their slip screen, and he comes all the way back across the field. Here, Mo, I think, gets his second touchdown. He ends up with 3 on the night. I was glad to see this in our power game and see him lowering his shoulders, running his feet, keeping his feet moving. That, you know, he's going to have big nights whenever that happens. This one ends up getting called back. That was one where we had only 10 men on the field, which you can play with 10, but you got to make sure you have 7 on the line of scrimmage. And by the way that we had a receiver out, we only had 6 on the line of scrimmage, and that's why that ball was called back.
Jacob's just doing a good job of managing the game at quarterback.
He is. You know, we did have our first 2 turnovers. We had an interception and a fumble on the night. As I said, it led to their 13 points. But he is doing a really good job of making wise decisions, getting rid of the ball when he needs to, making accurate throws. There's Cameron out here. We got to do a little bit better job on the perimeter. Joe's still learning a lot of the offense. He'll do a better job. I thought he had a great game also, by the way. He had the interception again and had the touchdown reception.
This is where I was talking about the downfield block, and that good block there by Cameron Curl actually opened the gate and let Mo get it in the end zone.
It did, and if you looked at the very first, Parker Hall had a nice block out there off the stunt that they were coming in with, and he knocked it out, and Mo cut up and underneath him. Here's where Joe is really dangerous, just in the open field. You know, he waited, he sets up his blocks really well. There's another great block coming up. kids are doing a good job on the downfield blocking. We just got to quit hitting in the back sometimes.
Good.
Here's
just
making 6
individual
yards
effort.
out of nothing. Mo with another tough run here.
Talk about refuse to lose. That was that play right there.
That gets people going. You know, that makes the linemen want to block harder. They know they got a back in the backfield that's going to run like that. They just tend to block a little bit harder, knowing that if they get there one more block, they'll spring them.
What an effort by Joe Combs.
Come
Just
over the
seems
top
to be able
there.
to go over the top and make it
He's
happen.
long, you know, he's like Cameron. He's got those long arms, and he's able to come over, and then he goes up and fights for the ball there. That's something we probably ought to start putting in. I watched so many college teams this weekend throw that back shoulder fade and also the underthrown fade, and that's more or less what that was an underthrown fade. Jacob got hit right as he released the ball, and then Joe went up and competed. Here's a nice 41-yard run by Cameron. I thought he was going to break it. And then this was our young pups come in. This Christian Hillman, he's coming in running really hard. I tell you, Christian is going to be a good change-up for us in there with Mo. Doesn't have quite the speed that Mo has, but does a little bit better job, you know, inside the tackles. And he's going to be a good one. He went down last night to McAlester with us in the JV game, which the JV won last night 49-0. The 9th grade also went over to Sand Springs and won 42-0. So things are going pretty decent right now for the old Roughers.
Absolutely. 2-0 on the season for the first time, like we said, since 2007, and got a chance to catch their breath this week. Speaking of catching our breath, let's do that. We'll take a quick break here on TV 15 and come back with more of the Rougher Coaches Show.
This timeout brought to you by Broadway Vision Associates, 435 West Broadway Street in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Welcome back here on TV 15. Bill Huddleston along with the coach of the Roughers, Rafe Watkins, and coach, a guy between us that after 2 games is averaging exactly 100 yards per game rushing. And when you can put those type of numbers up each and every week out of one running back, you got to feel pretty good about the rushing game.
We do, and you know that we've said all along for the last 3 years that that's what it's going to take to be able to win big ball games and win championships. You have to have a running game. We can throw it all over the yard, but when you have somebody that can step up and can give you 100, 150 yards. You know, he had the 200-yard game last year against Sapulpa, but against a quality opponent to get the 132 yards, I believe he had the other night, 3 touchdowns. One is telling you his offensive line's blocking really well for him and the receivers out on the perimeter. But if you were at the game and watched it, and of course we'll see in the highlights, he was making his hard runs. It's what we've been on Mo about for 3 years. You know, when I came in and he was getting ready to be a sophomore, I thought he could be really, really a great running back. There's times that we've been a little tentative and we've had talks about it, but he is really this year coming, and I think it started down there at Midwest City, you know, when we were backed up and we had the 55-yard run there, and hasn't really looked back since, and is running with a lot of purpose, and I'm proud of him. The biggest thing is, too, is we're holding on to the ball.
Absolutely. Number 6 in the Rougher program, churning up yards by the handfuls, Molijah Gilbert. Mo, before we go too far, tell me about this social media and this new tag name that you've got. What is it and why?
Mo Never Slacking. I created that name, I think, end of Bigsby game.
Okay.
And I really created it because that game I felt like I was slacking a lot. So after that game, I told myself I was never going to slack again.
Using the tag name Mo Never Slacking.
Yes, sir.
And that's on what?
Facebook.
On Facebook. Just kind of as a self-motivation. Now, it looked like you had plenty of motivation last Friday night in the game against McAlester. And like Coach said, running is much more fun when you're having lanes to run through, your offensive line doing its job, and then as we saw in some of the video highlights, the downfield blocking too of the wide receiver. Everybody pulling the chain in the right direction, and it ends up in the end zone 3 times for you, big man.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me a little bit about how much more fun that it is this season to know that you've got that type of execution helping the running game.
It just feels real good. It's, especially our seniors, we told each other, like, this year we can't go outside, we can't, let up. You really do us.
I also noticed one of your tendencies in the past sometimes had been to take the quick bounce outside.
Yes, sir.
You seem to have a little bit more focus on pounding it up inside. What's resulted in that? I mean, who's gotten your attention and making that happen?
Coach Staley, you know.
Tell me about this relationship between you and Kai Daly, because, I mean, let's face it, this is a guy that knows how to run from high school, and I think he shared some of those habits with you.
Yes, sir. He really just put in my head. He told me, every practice he always tells me he's getting me ready for college ball. And, you know, the starting position can go to anybody. So I keep that in my head all day, every day.
So far things are going good, Coach, and you can certainly see the change in this young man. And yeah, obviously he's got that heart of a champion, because we saw in the highlights 2 or 3 times when it could have gone down after the short yardage, and that second, third, and sometimes fourth effort got him 10, 12, 15 yards.
And when the district play starts, you know, when we start that, it's the murderer's row right there at the start. We'll have to have that type of running and determination against the Bigsby's, against the Booker-T's and the Sand Springs in order to make the playoffs, which is our ultimate goal.
Molijah Gilbert is our guest here this week on the Rougher Coaches Show, back to take a sneak peek at the next 2 weeks of action, non-action for the Roughers. Now, when we continue after this timeout here on TV 15.
This timeout brought to you by Broadway Vision Associates, 435 West Broadway Street in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Back on TV 15, Bill Huddleston with the coach of the Roughers, Rafe Watkins. Now, Coach, most time when you've gone 2-0, you just want to keep the ball rolling and keep the engine going full tilt. But because of the scheduling, it is what it is. You've got the open week, but that's a chance for you to just keep on getting better.
Well, we do. We have so many things that we need to work on ourselves of getting better. I mean, it looks like things are going great, and as we've always said, things are never as good as they appear to be, and they're never as bad as they appear to be. But there's quite a few things that we still have to work on, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and it's getting a whole lot better. But we still got to get better ourselves. This week, you know, we've already had the Monday practice, this being Tuesday. We'll work on ourselves today and tomorrow. Then Thursday and Friday we'll start working on Bentonville a little bit. But it gives us these 2 full pad days to work on ourselves, and we'll have a little bit of the game plan in there for Bentonville. But for right now, we've got enough things to be concerned about on ourselves that we'll work at. And then, of course, Friday we'll we were going to go and watch Bartlesville. We thought they were at Cassia Hall, but we'll catch a ball game, kind of watch some of the upcoming opponent, and then get ready Saturday morning for Bentonville West.
Well, certainly that'll be 2 weeks, not this Friday night, but Friday week when the Roughers go across the Arkansas border to take on Bentonville West. But until that time, coaches, just enjoy what you got and keep getting better at what you're doing. And like you said, it's never as bad, but it's never as good as you think it may be, and there's always room for improvement. But if that was the case, they wouldn't need you as the head coach of everything. We'd just work and go.
Well, I'm glad they still need me around a little bit. I hope to stay around for a while.
Absolutely. We hope that you'll stay around with us each and every week here on TV 15 as we follow the success of the Roughers in 2016. From Molijah Gilbert, our guest this week, and again, a great effort by Mo and the entire Rougher team. For head coach Rafe Watkins, I'm Bill Huddleston saying so long, and remember, it's always a great day to be a Rougher.